Regina Gaskew. I'm the Virginia Now president, and I'm here because we're fighting the vagina wars and we're trying to get the ERA passed. But tonight we're just totally fighting against the personhood and the ultrasound bills. So I am here to make sure that we see a presence here, and the governor has to look out his window and say, hey, we're out here. We do care about this. We don't want this passed. So he better not sign it, or he will be up the creek without a paddle as far as running for the Republic. We have a car here.
Next year, the ultrasound bill, they're pushing it back to tomorrow. What do you think may come of this?
It's difficult to say what might happen. I'm hoping what might happen is that the state legislators will see that we are watching them and we care very deeply about women and their health in this state.
So obviously you're hoping they shelve both bills?
Absolutely.
Just give me an idea. You told me you were down here last week. Almost every day?
Every day that we've had any kind of action going on, yeah.
Tell me about so you were down here for the silent protest as well?
Oh, yes.
Just tell me a little bit about what you've been going through emotionally and just with other people as well.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been a roller coaster because, as you said, the bills have, we thought we were going to have a hearing this day and it gets pushed back to that day, and it's a real emotional roller coaster, but it's had some tentatively happy outcomes so far.
And so, just to reiterate for me again, you guys are just down here showing the government that you're very unhappy with the legislation.
Yes, very unhappy, and again, we do vote. We're paying attention.
If you could sum it up in just a sentence, what would you say?
I would just let Governor McDonnell know that we are watching, and we're not going to forget about this. Even if the bills get killed and get reintroduced next year, we're going to be right back here next year. Thank you.
My name is Angela Dingus. I'm here to object to the government wanting to tell me what to do with my body. I believe that a woman should have the choice that is between her doctor, herself, and her conscience. It has nothing to do with the government intruding in our lives and telling us, especially us women, telling us what to do with our bodies. And that's why I'm here. And of course I'm past that now, but I'm here for my daughter and my granddaughters. And I want them to have the opportunities that I had when all these rights that women acquired, that they stay. And we have these rights for future generations to come.
What do you think of the current General Assembly in Virginia?
I just think it's skewed one way, and I don't like the way they're voting, and especially voting the way that they want to vote to keep women under the thumb, and I don't appreciate that at all.
Thank you.
It's against the wall. We get with them. How you doing? I'm good. How you doing? I'm good. I think I'll take $10.
If she put on her glasses.
I mean, the three up here, they the ones turning.
Okay. Yes. You start. I'll follow. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine.
had to go pay a bill.
So we have to keep moving if we don't have a permit? We're searching out as long as we can. Shine, let it shine.
And when I was 7 years old, my mother's best friend, who was like a second mother to me, was diagnosed with liver cancer when she was 6 months pregnant. She had a 2-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son and a husband. Back in those days, there wasn't much they could do for her cancer, and at the same time, there were no abortion laws. There was no, they could do abortions to save the life of a mother, but in this case, she was doomed. That was one of the, probably the most awful experience in my life, and I've had some biggies. But that last 3 months before she died in childbirth, as they expected her to. It was too much for her. She was too sick. And what was keeping her going in the last months of her life was the slenderest thread that the baby would survive. The baby died too, shortly after its mother was buried with her. But that experience stayed with me, because every year there are hundreds of women. There are only a tiny fraction of pregnant women, but there are hundreds of women who are diagnosed with cancer and other serious and life-threatening diseases while they're pregnant. And many of them, like Mrs. Hennessy, have small children. That's a very difficult choice. Now, under our constitutional system, and I haven't practiced for a long time, but I was a constitutional law consultant for CNN back in 1987 when they did the bicentennial programming. But under the Constitution, very often the Constitution doesn't answer a moral question so much as it determines who has the power, the rightful power to answer this question. And they made a decision, a rightful decision, that this was a private matter, that this was a matter for a woman, for her family, and for her doctors. And this is important for us to preserve this right of families. And I'm saying this even though I was raised Catholic. And so I buck my church on this, but many Catholics do. And, you know, this is very important what you do today. And what I'm concerned about is with our delegates, these kind of political movements. I'm going to wrap it up quickly because other people have important things to say. But these kinds of political movements, they're called authoritarianism, and what drives them is they become increasingly irrational and cruel as they go on. For a while they seem unstoppable, but then they start to blast apart because they are fueled by the pleasure of cruelty. It gives them a phony feeling of superiority. It gives them a sense of pleasure when they make other people suffer. It makes them feel powerful, but it means they're falling apart. But we can't afford to just let them self-destruct, because before these movements do self-destruct, they always harm a lot of innocent people. It's up to us to stand firm for what America really needs. The United States is not an authoritarian country.
True.
It was started, the American Revolution was a revolution against authoritarianism. All right, but there'll always be people who will try to turn around and make it go backwards. And it's your job to do everything you can to keep this country marching forward. Thank you.
It's Vanessa, and I'm a second-year medical student at MCV. I actually was not born in this country. I moved here when I was 2. Okay, sorry, I'll start again. My name is Vanessa Coleman. I'm a medical student at MCV. I was not born in this country. I came here when I was 2. I was originally born in Liberia, and I have been really upset about what's been going on now, because basically our VA legislators are trying to turn a state and a country that has so much freedom into basically a country like Liberia, which is one of the worst places to live as a woman in the world. And we do not have access to safe legal abortions in that country. And as a result, what women end up doing is they buy this chalk. It's a caustic chalk. They put it inside of their bodies, and it basically causes a caustic reaction and explodes. And these women present to clinic, and I'm telling you because I've seen it, with perforated uterus and vaginas that they will hemorrhage and bleed to death. And if you're telling me that it's a woman's right to choose, are you saying that is her right to choose death? Is that what you're saying when you're trying to take away choice from women? That's what I want to ask these people. That's what I want to ask them, because they're saying we can give them a right to choose. Their right to choose is life. I'll tell you about a patient that I had. She had one of those, and I was asking her when we were discharging her, well, what are you going to do now? There's nothing happened to the conceptus. It's still there. She said, I'm going to go and I'm going to get another one, and if I have to die, that's the price I'm going to have to pay. I'm not having this baby. So I want you all to think about why we're all here, and that's not where any of us want this country to go. And you have to realize that worldwide, the rates of abortion are the same. They do not decrease no matter what rates of legislation there are. If there are no safe and legal abortions, women will still have abortions. And I don't think that as a society, we want women to die bleeding on the floors of hospital beds. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I'm the president of the Richmond chapter of the National Organization for Women. And I just want to say this, it's wonderful to see everybody that's come out, support women. And I know the politicians have been saying, oh, all these bills, like the mandatory ultrasound bill, and oh, it's just to help women. It's to help them make effective choices about their health. Well, that's bunk. That's nothing to do with helping women. It has to do with disrespecting women, treating them like second-class citizens, like we don't have a brain in our heads to figure out what's right for us. And I just want to urge everybody that you have to keep up the fight, because it's not going to end after this General Assembly. They're going to take it back up here next year and every year after. And on the federal level in Congress right now, there's a lot of legislation that's anti-woman. Then we've got the presidential election coming up, and what do we hear from the Republicans?
Crazy.
No abortion under any circumstances, no birth control. And by the way, women really can't understand what to do for their body, so we have to come in and help them. And that's bull. So I urge everybody to come out, fight against the war against women, because that's what it is. It is a war against women, and they will not stop. So please continue to go after whatever legislation there is, whether it be in the state or the federal, in the Congress. And thanks again for coming out.
I would just like to say that we as women have to realize, first of all, that we are strong. And I feel that that's what they realize. Women are strong. And being that we are so strong, they fear us for all that we can do. We have power. One thing we know how to do is stand up. no matter if it's a crisis or whatever. Right now, women, we have a crisis against us. And we have to stand up with all power and integrity to let these people know that we will not stand for this. They have to realize also that they are men. And I've said this several times, it might sound cruel, but my question is, they're sitting over here, and my question is, if it wasn't something that they had totally against us or fear for us, why didn't they talk about having vasectomies, having men to take this? Why didn't they turn it reverse? So my stand is, no matter what, we have to stand up. I have come from a strong background of women, and I know if we sit down, they will have all power. But we know where the power is. We have power and strength no matter what.
I'm here tonight with my husband to urge Governor McDonnell and legislators to pass or at least give a hearing for the Equal Rights Amendment. Men of quality are not afraid of women of equality.
Waters, and I'm here because this is not a women's issue. Unless all births in Virginia were virgin births, I don't really know, but it's a human issue.
Yes, you got me with that one.
Your baby has a right to life. You have a right to life. The people that you take care of have a right to life. And we have to decide whether every person in this country is deserving of justice and equality. All of them. Everybody. The unborn child, we just make very, very difficult personal decisions. And we should get the government out of it.
True.
Yeah.
Brown.
Well said.
I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm here tonight because I'm a woman, because I feel threatened. But not only that, I'd like to kind of attend to some of the remarks of my previous speakers. One lady mentioned authoritative movements or authoritarian movements, forgive me. I think that is definitely something we are seeing in our government today. Choice, that's a powerful word. Our government was based on religious freedom. And that means the freedom to be religious. That means the freedom not to be religious. And that means that we can't choose a state religion. And to be honest, that's what those people are trying to give us today. They think that their religion is more important than any other, to the point where Santorum would make fun of our first Catholic president for standing up to the people who were frightened that he would oppress them with his Catholic views by saying that he believed in the separation of church and state, because they don't believe in the separation of church and state, and they want to make whatever their concept of religion is your state religion. And that's not what this country was founded on. This country was founded on acceptance of all religions and government legislation of people's rights to ensure that as long as they are not infringing on the rights of others, they have the right to live and the right to worship as they see fit. And we are not taking away their rights to live and their rights to worship by having our right to choose.
That's right. All right.
Right. Grimmy once said that there is beyond beyond right doing and wrong doing, there is a field, and I will meet you there. That's where we're trying to go, people. We are trying to go to a place that is beyond religion and that is morality, that does not exclude humanity, and does not. And that's what we're here trying to do. Thank you.
It's a human issue. And ladies, just because I personally would not have an abortion does not give me the right to say that you can't. And that needs to be the message. Take your personal views out of it. Stay out of people's personal lives.
The policy director for the Alliance for Progressive Values, and I wanted to give you guys a little practical information about what's happening right now at the GA. You all remember that last week Bob Marshall's bill, HB1, the personhood bill. We killed that bill. And you know, there were a lot of there were a lot of reasons why. But look, 1,200 people showed up here, and it had an enormous resonant effect on what happened inside that building. They did that faster than you could say personhood. Same day, actually no, Monday, Jill Vogel pulled her version of the ultrasound bill. Canceled it. It's gone too. We still have 2 other bills though, and these are a big deal. The House version of the personhood bill is on the floor now. It's HB 462 of the ultrasound bill. They watered that bill down somewhat in committee on Thursday. It's a terrible bill. It looks like Swiss cheese now. They did it on the back of an envelope. They made a bad bill. Technically, it may be worse now. That bill, they have been passing by that bill the last 2 days. There's a reason for that. I don't believe the Republicans have enough votes to pass that bill right now. And there's a reason for that. It's because you people have been calling them and emailing them and telling them not to do this. And believe it or not, politicians pay attention to stimulus. And they take positive stimulus and negative stimulus. We've given them a lot of negative stimulus on this, and I think at least some of them have heard enough to make the fact that this bill has to be held over because they don't have the votes for it. You need to keep after them. This is not over. We haven't won this fight by a long shot. There's another bill. This bill comes from Mark Cole on the House side. That's HB 62. That's in Senate Finance tomorrow morning. That bill is maybe, and I'll quote what Senator Locke said. I think it was Senator Locke, who said it was the cruelest bill she'd seen in front of the General Assembly in 21 years. What that bill does, if you are a woman on Medicare, I'm sorry, Medicaid. If you're a woman on Medicaid, you're pregnant, you want to have the baby. Second term, middle of your pregnancy, you discover that the baby has incredible birth defects, deformities. We're talking about encephalitis, hydroencephalitis. We're talking about babies with no brain, babies where their bodies are open to the inside the womb. Where, the organs are outside their bodies. Horrible, horrible conditions. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. Right now, Medicaid in Virginia will pay for that woman to have a procedure and terminate that pregnancy. Mark Cole's bill wants to remove the funding for that. In committee, when the bill was brought before committee, he was asked what poor women were supposed to do who were in this incredible situation, which arguably must be maybe one of the worst situations a person could be in their life. He said they could take up a collection.
Well, maybe he should take up a collection so he can go out of here.
This is a very, very bad bill. It's bad. It's bad for all of us as individuals. It's bad for the state. Last year there were 10 procedures that Medicaid paid for last year. 10 procedures. His name's Mark Cole, and the bill is HB 62. The bill's in finance now. We are hoping the bill has a lot of trouble, but you need to keep an eye on this. You need to talk to your legislators about this bill. It's a horrible, horrible bill. I think in its own way, it's meaner than the ultrasound bill. So because it really is. It plays on the problems that poor women have. If you're a middle class woman or you're a woman with money and you have the same situation, it doesn't stop you from getting an abortion. But if you're poor, start a collection.
Oh my God.
So, and as has been said before, all of these bills have been here before. The difference is this year the Republicans have control of both houses, and so they're trying to push this stuff through. But it will be back next year. The personhood bill will be back next year, and next year Bob McDonnell probably won't be running for vice president. So we need to really keep on this. A problem with our side, a problem with progressives, is that we tend to go to sleep on this stuff if we win or whatever. We tend to go to sleep. You've got to stay up. You've got to stay informed, and you've got to keep the pressure on them. I'm gonna stop now, but that's what's happening right now. keep engaged, we're winning this fight, and we can win this. But you've got to stay engaged on this.
They see that a bunch of people are wearing these. They know that it's, you know, for lack of a better word, a little bit antagonistic to what they're trying to do to us. That bill, HB 62, if any of you want to speak to it tomorrow, is in Senate Finance at 9 a.m. in the General Assembly building. So if you have time to come down here and just fill that committee room, it really, really makes a huge difference.
I'll be there.